So I'm going to tell you a little bit about our methodology. It's everything in detail inside the report, and you can have a look later. But I'm just going to give you a brief background of the methodology and also some key findings and where we go from here. So 3 rounds of surveys took place, one in June, the second in July, and the third in August, at 26 different sites in the City of London. And you can see the list of the sites on the slide, as well as the map of where the sites are, which are in green color. Oops, the other way. So a little bit about our methodology. Once we arrive at a given site, we recorded the percentage of flowering plants. And then we had to decide the number of transects that we will do at a given site. And what I mean by transect is an assigned area of 10 by 2 dimensions. And the number of transects per site was determined based on the size of the site, but also on the availability of flowers. Then for each transect, we recorded the approximate percentage of flowering plants, as well as green cover and bare ground, but also green cover, which is the non-flowering plants. Then we continue with a 2-minute pollinator survey per transect. And I need to clarify here, what I mean by 2 minutes is 2 minutes pure surveying. So we use a timer, and every time we had to record a specimen, or if we had to pay attention on a specific insect to be able to be confident on the identification, that time is not counted in the 2 minutes. So transects with good pollinator abundance, they lasted between 15 and 20 minutes. So we have identified bees and butterflies to species level, and then hoverflies, other flies, beetles, and wasps at group level. And some of you might saw at the entrance the specimens we collected from the PLT surveys, and they will be later on outside as well, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions you might have, and please come and have a look at them. So now some of the findings. So what is the pollinator-friendly plant diversity of surveyed sites? So each color is assigned to a different plant genera. So the bars with higher diversity of colors means higher pollinator plant diversity, pollinator-friendly plant diversity. So as you can see, the Barpes Physics Garden, Barbican, Festival Gardens, Greyfriars, Inner Temple, Middle Temple, and Postman's Park were the sites with the highest pollinator-friendly plant diversity. And I was extremely amazed, and I always say that wherever I go and discuss our work, that the Physics Garden, the Barpes Physics Garden, is an excellent example of a very small garden compared to the other sites. However, very good diversity of plants, and as you will see later, very good diversity of pollinators as well, which shows that we don't need much space to actually create a pollinator-friendly site, as long as we have the right plants at the site of interest. So in terms of plant genera, we have recorded overall 108 plant genera. 60% of them are native species, and 40% of them are imported. And according to the visit, based on the visitation, we have given a gold award to European species, a silver award to Nepeta, and then bronze to Erigeron and Salvia. So now our pollinator diversity, we have overall recorded more than 1,800 specimens. And as you can see, the great abundance of them, almost 800 specimens, were the Apis mellifera, which is the honeybee. But also we recorded high numbers of hoverflies, Bombus pascorum, Bombus terrestris, Lasioglossum mithenalum, and Hylaeus communis. The Lasioglossum mithenalum and the Hylaeus communis are very interesting ones because they are both about 4 millimeters in length. So as many of you highlighted when you saw the specimens outside, you can easily confuse them with flies or ants or just a small flying insect. It's very difficult to know it's actually a bee. So they can be overlooked very easily to our trained eyes. And the reason I have collected so many is because, as you saw in the specimen box, is because it's very difficult to identify them in the field, and you have to put them under the microscope to be confident with the identification. So now, the plant preference of recorded pollinators, again the same type of graph, so the more colorful bars means that the specific pollinator visits several plant genera, and we can see that the most diverse species in terms of plants are Apis mellifera, Bombus pascorum, Bombus terrestris, hoverflies, Hylaeus communis, and Lasioglossum mithenalum. So we need to say that some species are polylactic and some others are oligolectic, which means some species they prefer visiting specific plants, specific groups of plants, sometimes only 2 or 3 species of plants. But there's some others, which is the species that are highlighted with the red circle, are polylactic, which visit a range of plants, which is very important when we when we choose plants at a given site to provide that diversity, to be able to have diversity of pollinators as well. And that's the exact question we wanted to answer. If we provide more plant genera at a given site, do we have higher diversity of pollinators? And as you can see on the graph, and also the statistical analysis at the bottom, there was significant positive relationship between the plant genera and the pollinator taxa. So now the nesting. We have recorded 18 cavity nesting species, which account 64% of recorded specimens. And the photo here is from greyfriars, which I observed several cavity nesting bees from Lasioglossum genera going in and out that circle, that crack on the wall. And we believe, as you can see, the great abundance of the pollinators we recorded are actually cavity nesters. So we believe that these cavity nesters have been adapted to the environment in the city of London, or probably other cities as well. And they took advantage of old walls. I have observed the same in the Roman walls outside the Plasters building. Yeah. However, I need to say that we shouldn't worry about damage on the walls or anything like that, because these bees are actually using existing cracks, existing cavities in the walls, and they just take advantage of them. They shape a little bit the area inside, and they lay their eggs and provide food resource for their offspring. So it's no building materials remove or any damage that we should be worried about. And these bees have been doing that for thousands and thousands of years, obviously. One species was an above ground nester. And we have recorded also 3 ground nesting bee species. This is extremely important because we need to consider that 70% of the 250 species we have in UK, or 70% of the 20,000 bee species we have globally, are actually ground nesters. So the majority of species are ground nesters. And from our surveys, we can show that these species are not in great abundance at all. And we are confident that it's due to a lack of nesting resources for this type of bees, ground nesting bees. And it's something that we're trying to work with Heather and others to see how we can provide such nesting resources in the City of London. So here is an example of the entrance of a ground nesting bee. This is one of my favorite photos from my PhD, which I found this Andrina Hamoroa exiting the nest at 7 o'clock in the morning in the apple orchard. A very interesting finding as well was this Anthidium manicatum nesting in the armrest of a wooden bench at Greyfriars. So I was sitting on the bench with my colleague Louise having lunch, and all of a sudden I could see bees coming towards the bench and try to get into the bench. I was like, what's happening here? Some key messages to conclude. The plant genera with the highest number of visitors were the Evripia, Nepeta, Rigeron, and Salvia. And as we've seen, the diversity of planting, pollinator-friendly planting at sites varies a lot. So there is a great potential to increase this pollinator-friendly planting. And something we are at the moment trying to work on and go forward is how to provide the best food resources, but also to increase the nesting resources for bees and other pollinators in the City of London. And I'm very fortunate to have received a 1-year contract with PLT. So I will be working full-time from February, doing my best to help our beloved pollinators. So this is some photos from the surveys. And this Anthidium manicatum is actually from the Barber's Physics Garden. This is an example of a nesting site. It's an experiment I have in my PhD, and I have recently published a paper on this, which was very successful just by providing bare ground. South-facing bare ground. It was obviously many other factors are involved, which I detailed on the paper, but yeah, it's just an example of what we need to do to provide those valuable nesting resources. Then I will hand to John. Before I had it in mind, but I forgot for a moment. We need to highlight that the findings of this presentation, but also in the report, are only preliminary findings. So with additional data from next year and hopefully following years, we will be more confident into these findings. We cannot make final conclusions with 15 surveys. So, sorry, John.